Well, good evening, everybody. It is currently Tuesday, the 26th of June, 2012, and this is going to be a bit of a rant. Okay, I have just got off playing another game of FIFA 12, which I actually bought about a year ago. Now, I have tried to love FIFA 12. I've loved all of the FIFA games previous to that. In my personal opinion, FIFA 09 was one of the best football games I've ever played. FIFA 10, FIFA 11 were just incredible games. Okay, they're absolutely fantastic. So I got FIFA 12. I hadn't actually bought a FIFA game for quite a while because I had FIFA 09 and I just thought, it's great. And in the end, I know obviously we all want to have our particular players for our particular teams. That's obviously a great thing to have, etc., etc. And you get all the merchandising and everything's accurate, and obviously you get all the up-to-date commentary. But in a sense, it is just 11 pixelated men running around a screen. So, yeah. But I bought FIFA 12 and I thought, looks good. I'd seen some of the graphics, I'd seen some of the things about the new player impact engine and all the rest of it, and I thought, this to me seems to be a pretty decent looking game. And on the face of it, FIFA is an excellent game. The graphics, the player impact engine is excellent. It is really possible now to keep hold of the ball. It is entirely possible to do some incredibly intricate little movements and stuff. And the more I play it, and I know there are people out there who absolutely love all the kind of tips and tricks and all that sort of stuff, but I never play it like that. I always play it much more like you would see a sort of a Spanish international side play, where it's all about quick movement, ball into feet, little passes, holding on to the ball. That most important skill is actually sometimes to let go of the control stick and just stand still. You'd be surprised how often that opens up defences. All that kind of stuff is great. But the problem with FIFA, and they are manifold, are what is holding back my love of the game. And like I said, I bought this game about a year ago and I have tried to love it. I have tried really hard to enjoy it, and I can't because it's broken, and there are some serious problems with it, which I will now list. First problem, passing AI is awful. It's just absolutely awful. They have completely broken the through ball. It doesn't work anymore. But just general AI, right? The AI of the system in general is just is awful. Let's consider the facts that every time you go to pass to a forward player, he runs offside. Every single time. Let's consider the fact that the computer seems to take the most stupid, I don't know what algorithm they've got underneath it that is calculating the likelihood of where you want to pass the ball. But if you've got a guy standing completely open in midfield, or a striker surrounded by three players, who in the hell was going to pass to the striker? But the number of times you get terrible passing decisions made by the computer AI, it just frustrates me. Another problem. Players not chasing the ball down. Why? Why is it that only the opposition seems to chase the ball down? I've gone into all the settings, I've tried to fix it, this does not work. Why do your players not let the ball go out as well? So, if, for example, you have a hit from range, a shot from range, I should say, hits the goalkeeper palms it out, it's bobbling towards the, the corner flag, as it were. All you want to do is for your player to leave it, but all they go and do is they go and chest it, it goes out, and you have a goal kick. Another problem with it. Let's go again, and let's turn it on the other side now. Let's look at the defending. The tactical defending in FIFA makes sense. I understand, again, why they kind of wanted to do it, because their whole argument was, well, we've got all these incredibly intricate controls when it comes to, actually attacking the goal. We want to give you a more authentic experience when it comes to defending, I should say. But here's the big problem. It's a computer and you're a man or a woman. Your neurons can transmit at something like 1 millisecond. The time between you seeing something, it going into your brain, it being processed, and it reaching your hands, for a response, is around 1 or 2 milliseconds. A computer, something like a PS3 or an Xbox, is calculating at 1,000 million operations per second. And for that reason is why we've had the situation that I'm sure everybody's had FIFA 12 has played, that you're playing someone like, forget a Premiership side, you're playing someone like Colchester, and they go around you like Messi, and all of your defenders are falling over in the box, and if you can't touch them, and if you try to touch them, you give away a penalty. It is stupid. And here's the thing. EA developers, FIFA developers, knew that this wasn't quite right. And we know that because they left the legacy option in a game. If you are, I would say as a developer, entirely confident in your product, entirely confident in the fact that you have made something excellent, why would you include the legacy system? To me, that is a blatant admission of the fact that they played it and they said, actually guys, you know what? a lot of people are going to hate this. A lot of people are going to find this really, really, really challenging. And I mean, okay, fine. I play on world class or or whatever the top level of FIFA is. I always have, because I've always found the lower levels a bit too easy. But there again, it's a problem. Professional, easy as hell. World class can be impossible. It really can be impossible. I mean, obviously, if you go online and look it up, and I'll probably add some links to this about the sliders that you can change from the original settings, which help you a little bit. But even then, it can be a right ball ache. And the number of times that you a quick through ball, and that's it. That's it. You've got a one-on-one. 9 times out of 10, the computer's going to win that one-on-one. And you're just getting torn apart. And I think there are just too many problems with FIFA at the moment. And I'm going to be really interested to see what they do in FIFA 13 and if they've listened. Because I know for a fact that, again, I think FIFA was one of those examples of a game where the reviewers just across the board went, oh yeah, it's 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, blah, blah, blah. But then everyone else got hold of it and started playing it and started going, actually, this isn't quite right. There are some serious problems here. The difficulty level can be absolutely extraordinary. The first time you pick up and play FIFA 12, you get smashed. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. I mean, goodness forbid that you play against someone like Barcelona or Real Madrid, because you will get slaughtered. And that's the other thing about it. Take something like Fruit Ninjas, or take something like Game Dev Story or Angry Birds. What those games have always understood, and what those developers understand, is this. The fundamental mechanic of a game must be fun. If you're going to play a game for 9, 10, 20, 30 hours, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. As long as the key mechanic is fun when you first do it, and fun when you do it 9 hours later, you're on to a winner. But FIFA is never fun. It always feels like a slog. It always feels like you're being stretched out on the rack and tortured. And it doesn't feel like a game. It doesn't feel like a football game. To me, it almost feels like a game of chess. But a game of chess where you sort of patiently build up, and then you lose the ball, and suddenly oh good lord, it's put on the tin hat time, batten down the hatches, we're getting attacked. Which, I mean, is that actually fun? Is that it might be a wonderful simulation of real world football, but is that a decent football game that people are actually going to sit down and enjoy? And I just find FIFA incredibly frustrating, in all of these areas. I'll give you another example. Something they haven't fixed in over 10 years. You have a corner, right? If it's your corner, the ball comes off your player, it goes to the opposition. If it's the opposition's corner, you defend, the ball goes to the opposition. And the number of times I've conceded goals where the ball has bounced off one of my players, it's gone straight to the opposition, who has done a through pass to one of their players in space, and he's popped it in the back of the net. Undefendable. Completely undefendable. Nothing that you, the player, can do about it. And again, in FIFA 12, just as in a lot of previous versions of FIFA, there are too many situations where you, the player, get stuffed and there is nothing you can do. I had an example. I just finished a game then, beating Sunderland 2-1. Opposition player hits the ball, it hits the ref, it bounces back to the opposition player. My guy's obviously gone to follow it. I'm now out of position, he moves to the left, shoots, scores. And you kind of think, that is a real pain in the arse when that kind of stuff starts happening. And going back to what I was talking about earlier about the passing, I do think actually, if you start winning, I'm pretty sure this game starts trying to game you. And by that I mean the likelihood of a bad pass goes through the roof. But it's not even a bad pass, it's a pass that is almost entirely in the wrong direction. I mean, how many times, I'm imagining, I'm hoping people who are watching this have played FIFA, how many times have you gone to pass the ball and he's passed it backwards towards your centre-back, which has then been intercepted by the opposition forward who's turned and started running at you? How many times does that happen? How many times are you in space and there's a guy standing in front of you, an easy ball into feet, you press it, and he punts it straight at the defence? I mean, EA need to fix their AI. They don't have to worry about their graphic system, they don't have to worry about the impact engine, they don't even really have to worry about the controls. All of those are great, and when you get used to through balls and passing and dropping it into space, you can do almost anything. What they need to fix is the damn AI, because it's awful. And they need to have another think about the tactical defending system, because at the moment it can be pretty much unplayable. because you are making a decision in a thousandth of a second, a computer is making a decision in 100 millionth of a second, in a nanosecond, and the computer is always going to react faster than you. And because it can react faster than you, when you try and change direction, when you try and do a shimmy, it tackles you. When it does it to you, your player ends up flat on his ass and the ball is in the back of the net. So, yeah, there is my little rant about FIFA. That's a lot less sort of angry and sweary than I usually am when I'm talking about FIFA. When I actually play FIFA and I get into a situation where the ball is hitting the bar every single time. There's another thing. Why is it that you can never ever score? Computer goes in on goal. 9 times out of 10 it will score. You go in on goal. 9 times out of 10 you miss. Why do you miss? Why do you miss? I mean, you're not off balance. You haven't got anybody near you. And again, you'll be running down. You go to, and immediately, the moment you press shoot, suddenly the tackle comes in. Why didn't he tackle you before? Why? Because the computer is waiting for you to press tackle so that it can time its attack, or so that it's waiting for that input. To use a technical term, it's waiting for that input so it can then trigger the algorithm that will trigger the defending player to make the tackle. Again, it's gamey, and it really needs to be better than that. So my hope for FIFA 13, unlucky for some, but let's hope not for us, is that they do forget all of the new fishing, just work on the AI. Oh, and one more thing. Can we please have back the system where you had an energy bar for the free kicks? Why did you take that out? Why did they take that out? It was fine. It meant you knew where to hit. Now, you haven't got a clue. And again, the computer knows exactly where to hit. So all of those things, I think, need a bit of work. All of those things are things that EA I think, can actually have a go at. And, a bit of a ranty video, a bit of an angry video, but FIFA at the moment is just a joke, and they really need to sort it out. And I am going to borrow 13 when it comes out off a mate, and I will play it, because I'm not spending 40 quid on something that is just going to leave me to rage quit every 10 minutes because I'm getting beaten by Macclesfield. Okay? Thanks.